Welcome to Pole Hook Golf, the podcast, hosted by Matt Cook and Mike Perez.
How about that intro by Satchel and the boys over at Steel Panther? I mean, this is episode number 1, and how cool is it that they gave us the rights to be able to utilize, and I'll let you say what song that is, Mike.
Well, Matthew, that song is called Just Like Tiger Woods by Steel Panther. And it was written for the incident that happened.
The famous incident.
The famous incident.
I don't even want to get into it yet. We got to obviously introduce ourselves.
It was a great Thanksgiving for him.
There was an iron involved, a Cadillac, and a tree. Everybody, you probably are aware of what that story is all about. But Mike, I'll let you start off with the introductions here.
Well, you are a good friend of mine. This is Matt Cook from New York, the great state of New York. And he's not your typical New Yorker, thank God. But Matt was a mini tour player who
hold back, Mike.
Who decided that I've seen him play golf, and we played golf, and it's a good thing he quit and decided to do what he's doing because he's more successful. But any case, he did start his own company called. It's a New York website for golf pros, which is great, and is the owner and creator of Golf Pros NYC. And so for that, I think that's a pretty darn good achievement alone, because that was.
It's a start, and you know what? I had a business partner from Scotland that we started Golf Pros NYC in Midtown Manhattan. Now it's turned into a place to where we help golfers in New York City find the right golf professionals for what they're looking for. So often we just find that golfers have a tough time knowing where to get started. And golf pros, as you know, are all different in terms of like what they specialize in. So there's golf pros that absolutely specialize in the top level, and there's some that are fantastic with beginners. And that's one of the things that I realized with my business partner. But enough about me, Mikey. Here's the thing. Mikey Perez, the winner of the Brig Break Disney edition. Gosh. Yes, you are famous, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch that Golf Channel series on a regular. I have it DVR'd on my YouTube TV. And my God, it is just phenomenal to watch you hoist up that trophy. And then, obviously, the other elephant in the room is that your brother is the bad boy on the PGA Tour, Pat Perez.
Yeah.
But let's not just stop there. I mean, you did have a tour stop at the BC Open, which was my hometown in New York. So, I mean, here's the thing. We might be dating ourselves. People now understand it as the Dick's Sporting Goods Open, I believe, for the Champions Tour.
Now?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I believe so. Yeah. So Dick's Sporting Goods has a great presence, not only in Pittsburgh, but also in Binghamton, New York, which...
Binghamton.
That's how anybody outside of Binghamton
I remember going to the bar. I remember going to that one bar there.
Which one? No, there is only one bar.
It's a good question.
There is only one, and yes, I mean very much so. Like we're used to out here in Arizona at the Waste Management Open and the Bird's Nest. So if anybody hasn't been out here for that golf tournament, freaking believable. The Bird's Nest is unreal. It gets a little sloppy.
It was unreal. It was unreal. They had good bands.
I agree.
They had good bands. And
however, I mean, now they're starting to do the concerts out on 16, which is kind of cool. Like Sam Hunt came this year, which was pretty neat. But in addition to that, as I kind of look at, because I mean, you and I, we can go on and on about these different things, but the BC Open had that kind of environment, and they still do. Like they put on concerts every year.
Safeway now, like the Safeway.
Yes,
now. You
exactly.
got Weezer playing, you had Offspring playing, you've got great bands from back in the 90s and late early 2000s, and like I don't know who these bands are that play the Nest anymore. And I used to live literally 100 yards from that tent, that Bird's Nest, and I couldn't stand it when this what is his name, Flo Rida or whatever the hell he is. I don't know.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started.
It should be called No Rider.
I saw Flo Rida literally at the Belmont, the horse races back in New York, literally about 2 years ago, and he was running late because he had just performed at a bar mitzvah for a local person. Yeah, no. I can go on and on. We have some stories, but that's what this podcast is all about, Mikey. Is you and I, as we met each other, as it's funny enough, in the golf industry,
yes,
to where I was on my way out and you were my replacement coming in. And
prick.
So I left.
I wish you didn't leave.
I know. It's but that's how we ended up connecting, because I trained
cashiers.
I was training you at the golf club on how to be a cashier, and then from there
basically assistant pro my ass.
Everything went from that point forward. Yeah. And I mean, that's what our podcast is ultimately going to be about. We're going to be having on, and I'll let you allude to some of the types of people that we're going to have onto the show. Yeah. Obviously, you have numerous connections yourself, but also we're going to be really spilling the beans, or getting into the dirt of the PGA Tour. We're going to talk a lot about, the events that are taking place, a lot of the current topics that are going on. We'll do so in this episode. I mean, in this episode alone, we're going to be talking about all different things around the Players' Championship that just wrapped up this week. Obviously, Cam Smith winning. We'll jump into that. We're also going to jump into a couple other topics, like the brand new tour that just got announced. So hang on a second. We'll dive into that. Hold some for the audience until a little bit later on, because my goodness. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Phil.
Yeah,
and a little bit about that side, because your brother made some comments on the on a podcast recently, the Subpar podcast, which
podcasts.
I mean, great show by Colt. And,
I love Colty. Yeah, big gravy.
Those guys are great. But anyways, I digress. Let's jump into a little bit about who we are going to have on the podcast. Now, don't drop names, because I still want there to be a little bit of a unveiling to each of the episodes and so forth. We got a little master special coming up at the beginning of April that we're going to do. But tell us a little bit about who those people are that you're going to have on we are going to have on the show.
Well, like you said, we're not going to drop names. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some musicians. We're going to have surfers. We're going to have golfers, obviously. We're going to have producers. We're going to have all sorts of people. Baseball.
Former pro athletes, or even pro athletes. I mean, anybody who plays golf, right?
Well, we're going to have coaches on. I mean, good coaches. We're going to have a lot of good things. We're going to have a lot of good guests and a variety. That's not just one, one
That's
topic.
The thing, right? I mean, obviously, when we have the guest on that deserves to have an entire show, which certainly we're going to have those types of pros on, especially from the PGA Tour side of things. Yeah. Or should I say the new tour, the Live Tour? Actually, what is that?
What is it called?
It's the Live Golf Invitational Series. I don't want to get too much into that right away, because we'll dive into that a little bit later on.
It should be called the No Cut.
Listen, the one thing that I do want to point out here is that in no way, and I don't know how you feel about this, but like the PGA Tour is not in jeopardy. Like, do you feel that? Like, no,
it's not at
like,
all.
if you want legacy, PGA Tour is where it's at. That's where it's always going to be.
What do you work for?
Yeah.
What does everybody work for when
growing up as a kid?
When I was growing up,
yeah,
we worked on the PGA Tour.
I mean, I imagined time and time again making that birdie putt on 18 at Augusta National to win the Masters. Right. There's nothing better in golf than the Masters. There's nothing that will ever be better than the Masters. And I'm sorry to people in Europe, and I know one of my business...
It's still a British Open to me, by the way.
Same here. And so I've had this conversation, actually, with my business partner from Golf Pros NYC, Sean Clark, who's Scottish. And so we digress in terms of diving into those type of topics. But I mean, to me, the best golf tournament ever is the Masters. There is 100%. Nothing like the Masters.
I like it better than U.S. Open. I like it better. I mean, it's Masters, players. I like players.
You like the players?
I love the players.
So I gotta tell you a quick little story about the players. So growing up, I wasn't a golf person. I was in a sports family, and nobody in my family played golf. My aunt was the only one who played golf, and she's actually the one who introduced me into the sport because Tiger Woods had just came on tour. It was his very first year, and she was locked in, right?
Riviera.
And then we got to Thanksgiving, and I forget what golf tournament was going on at the time. Somebody could probably fact check me on this and be like, no, that was the second year. But it was early on in Tiger's career, and it was right around Thanksgiving because we were all at a family gathering at my grandparents' house. And she comes in, and we're watching football. Like, we were a sports family. My sister and I are sitting there watching football, and she comes in and goes, no, can I see the remote? And we're like, why? And she's like, here, give it to me. And she changes it to Tiger Woods. She's like, Tiger Woods is on. And we're like, what? And I remember being just an absolute smartass. I told her, I was like,
well, you're from New York.
Yeah, and I'd never picked up a golf club in my life. So I go, this is like watching grass grow. This is absolutely god-awful. And I had a mouth on me, even at the young age that I was at the time.
You're from New York.
Yeah, so all of a sudden we dive in, and she goes, well, smartass, let's see if you can go out and actually hit a golf ball. And so we went out into the backyard, and my grandparents had like this pretty big backyard. And
how old do you think you were?
So I know how old I was. I was 12. And I started playing golf at the age of 13. Okay. So, and the reason I know this is because she bought me my first set of golf clubs. So we went out back, and my sister, she ended up being a 3-time All-American in high school for softball. So she in our family is technically the breadwinner when it comes to sports. She's far more successful than I've ever been. But that being said, we go out in the backyard, and it's like a Happy Gilmore type moment. My sister whiffs on her first swing, then trickles one like a couple feet in front of her, slams the club down, goes, I'm done with this stupid game.
Yeah.
I get up there, and she's humiliated. I think at this point she's already inside. I step up, and I take a baseball swing. I take a step with my left foot, and I crack it. And so probably about 200 yards out, and I'm 12, is the forest line to the woods. Because it's in Poughkeepsie, New York. So like there's room there, right? So and as I hit it, all of a sudden I smoke it with a nice little fade, and she goes, holy shit, do that again. I'm like, okay. Like not knowing like that was any good. Like I'm just like, oh, this is a stupid game. So I get up there again, and I crack another one. And she all of a sudden goes, I don't care what your dad says. Because it was my dad's sister. And so she goes, you're playing golf. And she took me at that moment, because she knew my dad would never approve. Because my dad is a coach in baseball, basketball, football, lacrosse, and also softball. So he's actually the one that, I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame in New York State for softball. No kidding. That's great. So he taught my sister how to pitch. He's helped numerous girls. I digress, right? This is a show about golf. But going back to that actual portion of it, we sat there and we're like, all right, she got me my first set of golf clubs. And all of a sudden, I'm on the golf course the next day, and I fell in love with it. I was obsessed. I'm like, hang on a second. This is all on me. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was
had to be pigs.
I'm telling you right now, it was the cheapest set we could possibly get. Like she took me and bought the golf clubs, right? So she's thinking my dad's gonna throw them out. So yeah, she was convinced. She's just like, tell him he cannot get rid of these. You are playing golf. And sure enough, that's what set me down a golf path.
12 years old.
12 years old. So, and I really started playing at 13 years old. So as I started becoming obsessed, and then I tried out, it was a family drama, trying to actually say that I was going to try out instead of for football in the fall. And I was undersized. I was going to
say, how big were you for football?
I was 115 pounds. Yeah. I mean, I graduated high school at 135.
Freshman? So did I.
Yeah,
that's so funny. And you're taller than me.
Well, I mean, but I was skinny.
Wow.
Skinny.
Yeah, me too.
And so from there, like I still remember so I was a quarterback in football, and I remember this one guy like picking me up like the Undertaker and slamming me down on my head, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm all set. This is not, and I mean, in our family, we were so sports driven that me and my sister, we were convinced that like we were going to be playing sports for the rest of our lives for money,
sure.
Like whatever it was. And she didn't even know that there wasn't really like softball leagues that she could play in for real money. So obviously she moved on once she got to age.
Yeah. But, look how things changed for softball. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But when it came to what I was doing around golf, like it was that family drama and issue around me actually getting to the point to where I could actually go and try to compete to be on the varsity team. And so in 9th grade was the first time that I was allowed to do it. Against my parents' wishes, and I made the team.
Really?
Not really having any training, anything at all, nothing. I made the varsity team, and then every year I just got exponentially
better.
I will tell you this, Mikey. I was 100% just watching the Golf Channel, learning everything I possibly could, because my parents couldn't afford golf lessons.
Sure.
Like everything money-wise, like at the time especially, went into my sister because she was older. She was very successful. I mean, she got a full ride into UConn, was Big East MVP. So like it paid off for my parents. Don't get
Believe me,
wrong.
I get Pat and I know what it's like. Our parents worked their asses off for us to grow up in Del Mar, Solana Beach, that area, Cardiff. You know, my mom worked hard. She sold real estate for 30-something years.
Since we're talking about it, I know we were going to talk about it a little bit later on.
I know what you're talking about, though.
But that's where I want to.
But it's.
I want to talk a little bit about Pat and just kind of your upper. So since this was kind of off script, we kind of just dove into that story about how I got into golf.
But that's a great story. That's awesome.
Tell me a little bit about what kind of got you and Pat, because how rare is it that two guys, right? Yeah. From the same family, and your parents are struggling to just get by. And I mean, in an area that, like, I've lived in the Del Mar area when I was an executive for a golf technology company. And I mean, my God, like, it's a very expensive area. It's not easy to raise two kids, have them in golf. Like, how did you guys come about to having this passion in golf?
Well, you know, my mom's dad, who passed before I was born, and before we were born, actually, got my dad into it. And then Dad got us into it while we were playing baseball and soccer. I love soccer, you know.
Really? You were a soccer guy before you got into golf?
I love soccer. Love soccer. Played surf soccer, did all that stuff growing up. I was fast, too. Which
you look fast. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Seeing you in person, you look like you could run a 40 in 4.3. Like, or in 0.4, whatever.
Well, it depends now because of the damn smokes, but I could. But no, you know, our parents did everything for us to have the accommodations to go play golf. But Pat and I, we would go to Torrey Pines at 5 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday to fill divots so we could play and practice. We picked balls there. We worked golf courses. We took the city bus when we lived in Cardiff to after school. I had to take the walk 2 miles down to the 101 and get home because my parents were working. And, you know, my mom was very successful in real estate. My dad did commercial real estate in IBM for 25 years. So they did everything for us, whatever they could. And, you know, of course, we're working, too. We were all working. We always worked. You know,
so was golf kind of like, how did golf come about?
So
like, did your dad put, like, what involvement did your dad have in kind of driving the golf aspect for you and Pat?
Well, he focused first with Pat, that's for sure, because obviously he's 3.5 years older than me. So he focused more with Pat. But all the knowledge
By the way,
from
I think that's one of the things that you and I relate on, is that we're both the younger child, to where a lot of attention went to the superstars.
Oh, totally.
And the superstar, but I had to deal with a female as the superstar in our family.
Well, sometimes I did too. But no, you know, and our parents worked very hard for what Pat and I had. And because my mom wanted us to go to good schools, my dad wanted us to go to good schools. So we did, and we did everything we could to play free golf. And everybody at Torrey Pines, Fairbanks, I mean, all the courses, the Bridges, Del Mar Country Club, Rancho Santa Fe, all these high-end courses, La Costa. Avier, I had a buddy.
Don't even get me started on.
You know,
those are the biggest greens favorite tracks. I love Aviara.
Well,
and,
one of the best tracks in San Diego is San Diego Country Club. I mean,
of
it's
course.
one of the best.
Yeah.
So going back to where how we got into it was my grandfather, he was a scratch golfer, and taught my dad basically, and my dad got Pat into it first, and I slowly got into it when I was like 6 or 7-ish. I was still doing soccer and doing all that stuff, and then I won my first tournament when I was 11 at Singing Hills.
Ooh,
and
there we go.
Yeah,
there we go. See, I wasn't even thinking about golf yet at 11.
Yeah, and then Pat and I, Junior World, I finished. Trevor Immelman beat me by 1. And then we went to Japan Cup and stuff like that, and I won 13-14 2 years in a row, and then 15-17 I think twice, and then a couple Junior World top 5s, or I know I got a second, and then I think I got 4th, 15-17, and then Pat beat Tiger, which was, what's crazy is that back in 1990, it had to be 94 or 96. Tiger and Pat were the 2 best amateur and school golf.
You know what's weird is I like to refer to myself as a historian of the game, right? Or at least like following, and I'm a golf addict. But I've read articles about the fact that him and Tiger were the 2 guys.
They were boys too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, growing up in the same Southern California and literally competing against each other.
Yeah, yep. Tiger's about an hour from us, but it was Pat, Darren Angel, Tiger. Well, I should have said Tiger, Pat, Darren Angel, and
listen. You can put that order however you want, Mikey.
Yeah,
you don't have to play politics here.
Yeah,
I mean, one of the things that we have guaranteed the audience.
Tedo.
I mean, God,
yeah.
No, I have no idea who Tedo is.
Oh, he was so good. But the thing that sucked is that Pat qualified, he gets out of high school. I came mandatory, and then he gets a full ride to ASU, and
go Devils. I've got season football tickets, so I've got to give a quick shout out there.
Well, I think he's still a Devils fan. We'll get
I
think he is.
That's episode 5 or 6.
Yeah, he's still. I know he's definitely not a Chargers fan because he burned all the Chargers stuff because he told Spanos. I mean, he's tired of spending money on a shitty team. So
and then they moved to L.A. of all things.
Right.
I mean, the people in San Diego at the holy cow.
But
was that an uproar?
What sucked was he was playing so good. He won Junior World. He won the Max Fly PGA Junior. He shot in North Carolina at Pinehurst, and he played so good. I think it was number 7 and what is it, 3 or 4? I forgot what courses, but the score 63, 67, 60, and he qualified to play the U.S. Amateur.
I mean, and then he's got that hair. When did the hair come in? When did the hair, like from an inside scoop, like people don't know when the hair really got grown out. And I want to clue in our audience.
I want to say 15. I want to say 15? I want to say it started.
Was it mullet-esque or was it like long band
He's
style?
got long bands.
I know. Well, here's the thing. The reason I say that is because in the hat, you can't really tell. And when do you see Pat Perez without a hat on? It doesn't happen that often, right?
It's pretty rare. It's either, if it's not on forward, it's on backwards. I mean, when he goes.
I mean, he's got the style. I mean, I'm heavily jealous. I'm wearing a goddamn golf shirt with skulls on it. Smoking a.
There's nothing wrong with skulls. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with skulls. Look at that. That's Eddie and from the Trooper.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, like. You got me on that one. I completely lost my train of thought.
Like
in an instant.
With my own little flair on there.
but you normally, like, he's got the style, and we've talked off air about this around the fact that I am heavily jealous about his.
I'm heavily jealous. I can't grow hair like him anymore.
Well, I mean, that's one thing, right? But
curly.
I'm more so jealous of the Jordans and that Jordan deal that he has, because my God, have I so I'm not a huge sneakerhead.
So many shoes.
But I was a Knicks fan growing up as a kid, obviously in New York.
Right.
And the Knicks got dominated all the time by Jordan growing up, and I grew up in the 90s. So
Ewing couldn't hold the whole team.
I'm sorry, late 80s, early 90s is when I grew up, and my God, did Jordan, and I hated Jordan. Up until I got to the age to where I realized how great he was, and then I was obsessed with Jordan. Absolutely obsessed. And so I used to make my mom, there was one time where I actually feel terrible now later on in life because she got me like a pair of Jumpmans, which weren't Jordans. Like they were the knockoff brand, right? So they used to put those in some stores, and I literally was like, Mom, these aren't real. I need real Jordans. Yeah. And so I forced her to go out and buy me actually real Jordans.
Hey, that's expensive back then, dude.
And it's expensive. I mean, shoot, have you seen what those go for now? I mean, it's absolutely insane. But the one thing I was going to say,
wouldn't pay $10.
Yeah, well, and I'm with you because I have gone down this process to where, like, I like nice things and I like I like material things, and I like style, right? So it's not material things, it's style. I like style, and when all of a sudden I saw the new Jordans drop, right? I was so ready. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna get these Nike Jordans. Yeah. And all of a sudden it drops, and I'm like, literally within 30 seconds, I'm in the website, like ready to order my Jordans, and they're gone, sold out. And I'm like, how in the fuck did anybody beat me to these Jordans? So I have never won. I don't know how people do it. Do they have hackers and run? Like, I don't know. Like, where are these people coming from that, like, and they're camping out at stores? So, like, immediately, as soon as I couldn't get it online, I waited 2 days. I went out to a store at the time that the store opened, and literally they were sold out because people had camped out. I'm like, what is going on? So here's the thing.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I don't have any Jordan golf shoes. Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie. No, that's a lie because I have the shittiest pair. And I'm sorry, I hate to say
that. The fake ones, like
no, they're not fake. They're like
real, but then
they're the ADG ones, right? So the ADGs are like the ones that everybody has because they're not sneakerheads.
It's like a Greenjoy.
It's like exactly. And so I'm like, shit. And when I watched a video the other day of Pat going through his closet and everything. It was like one of those videos of like a cribs video. It's like, come on into my crib, dude. And he showed off, and I'm just like, motherfucker, like you have the sickest Jordan collection, and now I'm jealous.
Not only the collection, you walk into it, it looks like a Foot Locker. He's got the Jumpman, black floor epoxy, and then a white Jumpman, and he's got the racks on the side. It's in a TV in there in case you want to go hang out, whatever. I mean, he is proud of his shoe collection, and he should be.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great sponsorship.
He's earned it.
The one crazy thing that I don't necessarily understand is Bubba Watson getting that same type of deal.
I don't get that.
But it's beyond me, and that's okay. Listen, there's things that we will never understand about this world.
It works with Pat because Pat still wears his pants bigger.
Yeah.
He still wears everything. Pat doesn't change.
Well, you either need for the Jordans, by the way, from a style standpoint, you like this shirt, you have to button it up all the way, or else you don't get the full skull. So like a lot of people are gonna look at this and go, "Oh, he wears his top button." No, I never wear my top button. When did you see me with a top button?
You don't want to look like Bubba.
But here's the thing. So this button, it only completes the style, so you have to wear it this way.
Right.
So with the tapered pants that got like a ton of the joggers, technically, like they're joggers. Like that's one way to wear Jordans, or you go with the baggy pants like Pat does, and you go over them. You can't wear khaki pants. I'm sorry, Bubba Watson. I saw.
Yesterday he looked
his Masters edition. His Masters edition from last year, the white with the green. I have those Jordans. I don't have them in golf shoes.
He doesn't match.
But it like the khakis like crunch up to the top of the Jordans. Like it doesn't work. It looks
he doesn't match. He doesn't match. Pat has so many different. It matches everything to his belt, to his shoe.
That's the thing. He's got to look. He's got, and that's why I asked. I'm like, when did the hair start? Yeah. And was it a mullet to begin with?
No, because he just let it go, and he's got a good. Listen, I got the curly hair. He got straight hair.
Really? Wait, what? No, he got the curly hair. You got straight hair.
He's got a curly long. If I were to grow it out, it would go out like a.
So you have curly hair?
Like, yeah. Oh, I have pictures back in the day. Yeah.
Wow, we're
and then
at some point.
Everybody thinks I dye this.
No, that's the skunk look right there.
Why would I dye?
Yeah, no. That's a birthmark.
I'm 42 years old. I'm not afraid of it going gray. I don't even know how it started, but why the hell would I dye it gray?
Well, normally it's because of a birthmark. So if you have a birthmark there, normally that's going to turn gray.
It's so funny how it started. I love it. People, I love it.
Luckily, we're on camera to where, like, my hair, you can't see it, but my God.
You got a great salad. Your salad is amazing.
Not only that, but it is turning gray in a heartbeat, which I'm looking forward to being a silver fox. Like, I'm in my later days of being in the 30s. Like, I am very quickly approaching 40, and I'm looking forward to it because as a silver fox, like, I'm excited about it. I don't know what it is. Like, my grandfather, like, had gray hair, and, like, I get my hair after him. My dad is bald. So, I did not get his hairline, which I am so thankful for. Sorry, Pops, but literally, like...
I've got a little spot. You
do not. Stop it.
Listen, just a little.
You can comb it over just fine. I've seen you. You would
I don't comb it over.
No,
if it's there, it's there.
You're not trumping it, but at the same time, like you.
Or the guy from like Christian Bale's role. How good is that in that one movie?
Oh God, I know you're not. By the way, this is not. We digress. Okay.
I love it. But Pat, I want to say 2015. It's got to be 15.
15 years. Wait, 2015 or he was 15 years old?
Excuse me, 2015.
Oh, okay. So
he was always short hair like me.
I kept thinking that, like you were saying, he started it at 15 years old.
No,
which I'm thinking, I'm like, man, that's aggressive. He started at 15 years old. Like, you're still in high school. Like,
well, I know his wife really likes long hair.
Well, I mean, look, listen, the whole rock thing, right? I mean, the long hair, you can't really go... I hate to say this. Some people will shun it, but, like, you can't really go wrong. If you can pull off long locks, unbelievable. Like,
yeah, he just
ladies
turned
love
46, 45. March 1st.
I love how you have no idea how old your brother is.
77. So
I do the same thing, by the way.
76. March 1st, 76. So I'm shitty at math, so it doesn't matter. I think I want to say 46. 3.5 years for me. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Listen, the math sounds good to me. I'm not a mathematician.
He started it then, and then that's kind of when he just kind of accepted everything, and he just got
he found himself.
But that's what it is. Hoffman, he used to get. Remember when
Charlie Hoffman? I got to share a story about the Masters.
He had a skullet. I mean, it started here and goes down.
When we have our Masters Edition show, which we have a very special guest for that one, and I'm really pumped up about it. But I've got a great Masters story about Charlie when he was in the lead, and it just so happened that I was working with some PGA Tour pros at the time, and my God, like, we were inside of, like, that group, and just some stories
Charlie's
that are fantastic. But we digress, right? So we hit upon Pat. Like, I kept thinking he started it at 15 years old, which I couldn't...
Oh, no, sorry. No. 2015.
I couldn't get over it because I'm like, holy cow, he started at 15 years old? But yeah, well, you guys, I mean, you guys are, as you told me, you guys are Spanish and Italian.
Correct.
Which most people might not realize. Like, some people...
That's piss and vinegar right there. And everybody thinks I'm from New York.
Well,
I kid you not.
It's funny. I was having this conversation with my fiance. She was like, what's their nationality and background? Because I showed them a picture of Pat, and then I showed her a picture of you as well as we were going into the podcast together. And she's like, what's their nationality? They look Italian. And I'm like, I actually don't know. That's why I asked you.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's your nationality?
Yeah.
And so Italian and Spanish. Like,
Michael Steven Cavicchione Perez.
Wow. How about that?
Cavicchione Perez. Sorry.
So your dad's obviously Spanish,
Correct.
and then your mom's Italian.
Correct.
Whew, that's a dynamic right there. If you know those cultures.
The best cooks in the world, the structure in the world growing up. Obviously, I had my, but yes, we had, we tan quick. This is one day. This is one day on the golf course after my knee surgery and my knee replacement. That I just had.
Well, let's touch upon that real quick.
Yeah.
Because I do like. Again, this was not part of this show, but because we're talking about it, I feel like, might as well. You just went through a complete knee replacement. How long ago?
7 weeks ago this Friday.
And everybody, I was about to say guys, but there might be girls listening too. Who knows?
I hope.
I do too. Like, who knows? Paige Sporanic's here in Scottsdale. She might be listening. Who
Actually,
knows?
I heard she's moving to Colorado. My buddy teaches her.
Listen, she... I met her in San Diego, and she is great. She's a great personality. Great. Like, people don't realize, like, she gets a lot of hate. Well, she gets a lot of hate. And, like, even announcing, it's completely from a jealousy perspective, because she's one of the nicest people that I have ever met. Like, and when I say that, like, I met her in a scenario to where she didn't have to be on.
My buddy's her coach. My buddy's her coach.
It's unreal. So, anyways, with this whole entire scenario of your knee replacement. Now, I know because my mom had 2 knee replacements that this is not an easy thing. And just so that the entire audience understands, how long were you at the golf course yesterday?
2 days ago, it was an
2 days ago.
Yeah, it was an 8
That's right,
hour
because
run.
we were supposed to record yesterday. And then we ended up getting delayed because your knee... Obviously, I mean, when you tell people I'm 7 weeks removed from total knee replacement, and how long were you at the golf course?
I was at the golf. I got there at 7:30 in the morning, and we got off the golf. We teed off at 8:45, and I think we got done at 4. It was It was a great tournament. Gateway Golf Group, obviously, who I help out.
I mean, they do great things here in the
area.
We do,
I do. I love it because I'm part of them too, and we do a lot of things and raise money for charities. But I haven't touched a golf club since December 4th when all this happened in San Diego, and I was putting in a lot of work with my coach, Dennis Sheehy, from June till December. And I noticed that I did.
Now, what are you training for?
I did a couple of things. Well, I just wanted
to
see.
Come on.
Well, I was going to teach. I was going to teach and play. I wanted to play in all the stuff with the other pros that teach, because I know that I can still play. That I do know. But I was pushing it pretty hard, and I just every day it was like a grapefruit in my knee, and. One day, I did 2 things with Mr. Short Game and Golfaholics, and I've noticed those days.
Wait, were those around the same time?
It was 2 days in a row. Yeah, we went to the Bridges, then we went to the Grand Del Mar.
I mean, crappy golf clubs. By the way.
Real terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah,
I
terrible.
mean, my God, Mike.
Yeah. The Bridges.
Talk about name dropping.
The Bridges is amazing. They've always been great to me. I used to work there. They were the best. But back to the knee, so I felt the snap the day we didn't do it, the day after. And the temperature dropped to like 50. And I was on the 8th tee at Fairbanks, and another shitty course. And
golf snob. You snap. West Coast golf snob.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I grew up on Munis.
Not like Scottsdale. So did I.
And the Muni you grew up on was Torrey Pines, where they play the freaking Farmers Insurance Open.
Balboa.
God, gosh. I mean, that's fantastic golf course, too.
Oh. And we were members at Loma Santa Fe.
I mean,
a long time
you
ago.
can't go really that wrong in the San Diego County.
You know what I love about it is because we had like 6 or 7 different courses we could play without any hesitation. They allowed us to play, and there was no process, none of that, no ego. They were happy to have us, and we would help do whatever they needed us to do.
God, I want to dive
that's
so
why I miss
bad
Bob
into
Singh.
that word in golf called ego, but I don't want to do it on
Not
this
yet.
episode.
Not yet.
But it is something to where, like, me coming in from other sports and not knowing the golf industry at all at the age of 13, like, I realized this very quickly on, and realized status and so forth, and then, like, the levels within golf, and just how politics plays so much a part of everything that goes on in golf. But we're
not going to be PC on this.
No, we're not. We're going to be unfiltered.
I'm not PC,
which no, you're definitely
I'm not PC. No,
you're definitely
absolutely
not.
No,
you are the farthest
things.
thing. That's why I'm happy to say that this podcast will be unfiltered.
Yeah.
You will get some real takes. You're going to get some inside stories that you haven't heard before, because when it comes to the actual of what we've experienced and the contacts within the golf space and so forth, I actually get a little bit nervous, because I'm like, wow, like, we have so many stories that have never been told before. So as we kind of work through this podcast, that's going to be an interesting thing, but we're going to stay unfiltered throughout the entire process. But I do want to dive into the Players Championship. So let's talk about the Players Championship.
Yeah. Well, the good news is real quick, just to finish up on the knee, real quick,
because
I'm so excited.
No, I'm sorry.
It's my fault too.
I totally derailed the entire conversation from your knee, which is the most important part of this entire conversation.
You and I always do that because we have so many things to talk about.
We do.
So it's okay though. But I'm so happy that I got it done. And when the doctor said it's done, you can't play anymore. So December 4th, I shut it down, and that was it. And I got the MRI, I did all this and that.
So what was wrong with the knee? Like, why did they have to go in and do the entire knee? Like, because I know with my mom, and my mom is older, like, she's much older than you, but when it came to the knee replacement, like, to finally get to that point to where it's like, hey, listen, we're going to cut out your entire fucking knee.
Dude, like, it's crazy.
It deserves an F-bomb, which, by the way, I'm the New Yorker, so I'll probably end up saying a lot of these, and I apologize if I offend anybody, and especially in the golf space, because I know we're not supposed to say that. But even when I was on the mini tours, on the Butch Harmon tour, I had warnings several times that, hey, listen, even though we have minimal amount of crowd on this tour, that you have to watch your mouth. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Dude, there's 3 people out here.
But I got disqualified from a tournament because I threw a club and I was the owner of the course. A tournament championship for Gateway. Oh, I'll never forget that. But
again,
anyway,
I digress. What was torn? Like, what happened to where they decided, hey, Mikey, we need to make sure that we cut out your entire fucking knee and put in this metal piece of equipment?
Well, Dr. Goff, my friend, Dr. Golly first got me in touch with these guys, so the orthopedic surgeons, but we thought it was my meniscus again. I had my meniscus done from a car accident on my right knee, and then the left knee was a snowboarding accident. So he said, my original doctor from 22 years ago said that I was going to have serious arthritis or something down the road. But I've been shooting it, a lot with things, and like, not a cortisone, but it was a kind of something different.
But why now?
So I stopped doing it, and then I remember 3 times I went to San Diego in the summer to get out of here because my dad had quintuple bypass surgery, and I wanted to be there for him. So
which, by the way, everybody, he is doing great right now.
Oh my God, he looks great.
It's actually his birthday today. Which we're recording this March 16th, which we were supposed to record yesterday, but your knee was not doing so hot because of being 10 hours on the golf course, which I blame you for that, because I was pumped about recording this first episode.
My doctor gave me the green light, though.
But I'm glad, your doctor, of course. Of course there was a doctor that gave the green light. But to Mike spending 10 hours on the golf course. Thank you, doctor. Who should I thank for that? Who should I write the thank you letter to?
You know what's amazing, though? I'm so glad. I was so excited because that appointment was Tuesday. And he said, you're clear to play golf. Because it wasn't supposed to be until
But he didn't know you were going to go out for 10 hours.
I wasn't supposed to. No, I didn't. Thank God there was a cart. It was a gas cart, too. So, of course, I took the governor
I guarantee you he would be sitting here
Tyler
going,
All and I are going 100 miles an hour.
He's sitting here going, Mikey, I told you that it was okay to resume golf activities, not to play a full round of golf or to play 10 hours.
It was a great tournament. It was a great tournament, a great event. This one I played in years ago at Incanterra.
Do you want to give a shout out real quick?
I'm going to give a shout out to the Gateway Golf Group for putting on a great tournament, and Desert Financial. They did. They're
not sponsors of us, by the way. Just FYI.
No.
Like, this is just.
We don't have any sponsors yet.
Not yet.
Actually, yeah, we do. But that'll come soon.
Mikey's been having some conversations.
I got a lot of irons fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Anywho, but long story short, the knee held up great. What beat me up was being outside, not swinging since December 4th.
I mean, you haven't been training.
And the swelling in my knee. No, I've been doing my stretches.
And which knee did you get fully replaced?
Right knee. So
you were pushing off of that knee all day.
I told myself before I left the house, I'm not hitting driver. And even to my Pro-Am guys, my group.
Did you not hit driver? Did you stick to that bullshit? I see it on your face right now. You're lying.
Nope. Yeah. I hit it on the range. I hit it on the range.
You're like, I'm feeling good.
But
anyways,
I hit three.
The reason why this actually worked out is because now we get to say happy birthday to Mr. Perez.
Big T, Tony Perez.
Yeah.
And
I do want to take a second because he runs a non-for-profit for I'll let you.
Yeah, we've had this. We started this back. This is our 15th year. 15th year. It's called OperationGameOn.org. And we have 2 events a year to raise money for the vets that come back that are amputees. And we have golf lessons for them 3 days a week in San Diego. This
is a great cause, by the way.
Yeah, it's April 1st. We sold out in the first, I want to say, 5 months. And God bless my friends for helping out too. Mark Damaskell, Patrick Sullivan, with Chevron, and his dad, Kevin and Karen Sullivan, have helped me out tremendously with this. And then Paul Drolson and so many good people. I mean, my dad is like the mayor of Little Rancho Santa Fe. So
I haven't met your dad yet, but I will say from what I've seen of what you've posted on LinkedIn and so forth, that like he does. He looks like he's just running the show. He's the mayor of the entire organization, just running the entire ship, and obviously such a great cause. But I do going from
the Del Mar Golf Center,
and I still haven't gotten, by the way, the reason why the doctors decided to cut out the entire goddamn knee, because like that, like you can fix a meniscus, like cartilage is the one thing.
There's nothing left to fix in the meniscus. That's what we thought.
Once bone on bone starts rubbing, it's kind of like, and as soon as that starts to deteriorate, that's when they normally go to knee replacement. They're like, listen, we've got this great piece of metal. We're literally gonna cut your leg.
Titanium.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's who was it? Michael Bisping on the UFC.
Yeah,
he actually just had a knee replacement, and he was talking about. So actually, I want to ask you real quick because I was listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with him on there. They did one over the most recent because Bisping got replaced because Daniel Cormier, and I know I can dive into UFC because
I love UFC.
I mean, now granted, yes, me and you both, because I'm a big UFC guy, but outside of golf, obviously a lot of our golf audience might not know what the hell we're talking about, but I'll be brief on it. So Daniel Cormier's mother passed away, and so Michael Bisping filled in for him, who was a former UFC fighter. If you haven't heard the episode on Joe Rogan Experience, exactly, and he had to, and I've never heard this part of it, which he shared on the Joe Rogan Experience, as to how many tests and how many fights he had to go by to where he had to fake everything. Like he had to fake all the tests. And it goes back into his career.
Really?
Like midway through his career.
I love that guy.
He had to start faking eye exam, sorry.
No kidding?
Yeah, so he had to go in to the eye doctor and fake eye exams, and he had his team. So when he would show up to UFC events, and the one thing that he did say, and he was trying to be politically correct about it, but he basically said, like, when I showed up to an event, he was shitting his pants that he was going to be tested on the eye, but what ended up happening is they're like, okay, you got your recent test done? Perfect, you're good.
Man,
all right, you're up to
okay.
fight.
And
But
he still won.
he would go in to doctors and he would fake it. And his team would help him fake it. Like, he would create, like, hey, if it's this, or he would memorize, like, vision boards. So, like, nothing was, like, that crazy in terms of technology and so forth. But he was terrified through the latter half of his career that he was going to be caught and that everything was going to be canceled and he wouldn't be able to fight, and that his entire training camp, that he wouldn't be able to make the money or anything like that. But again, I digress. This show isn't about the UFC, but I bring that up because of the standpoint that when we look at the UFC and what Bisping was doing around the eye, he had his knee replaced recently, and he said that he couldn't feel certain things to his foot. So, like, when he's doing jiu-jitsu, he can't feel. Yeah, can you feel certain things that you like? Is there numbness or certain things that you haven't been able to feel before?
There's still a little numbness on the outside rights. Just that's it. But the main reason why they decided to do the knee, the whole entire knee, as soon as I took the club back, I turned, right? So all of the pressure, I had so many bone spurs in the inside of my right knee, which was hitting all the nerves going to my Achilles.
Got it.
So that's when I knew there was a problem. And those YouTube things I did with Mr. Short Game and Golfaholics is when I noticed it, because I started hitting it. I was behind it and hitting it thin, and I'm like, something's wrong. And sure as shit, the third day when I was at Fairbanks, just with hanging out with playing, it was a par 3 too. It wasn't even a driver.
Banging the desk.
Yeah.
So
and
that Italian side to you is like really coming out with the hands.
I kept playing, and I kept playing. So
of course you did. You're not stopping.
And then I'm like, oh my gosh! I get back to my buddy Marky's house, and I'm like, I walked in the door and I said, dude, I'm done. I can't do it. And then it was raining that whole week, so I drove home. Yeah, I drove home the next, and it was raining for 4 days. Is what the forecast said. So I'm like, well, what am I going to do?
Quick question.
I got in the car and just drove home to Scottsdale, which was so shitty because my knee was killing me.
Oh, it had to be just inflamed and like
doctor,
bone on bone. But
it was more than that. So much.
That was the reason why you ended up moving forward with it. But did the doctor give you a reason as to like, or hang on,
because there was nothing to fix it other than that.
I gotcha.
That's what he said. He goes.
So there's no
nothing.
taking a muscle from something else, reattaching the meniscus or anything like that. It just
everything
everything was
my
shot.
Meniscus gone.
You're rubbing bone on bone, and then from there, okay.
My meniscus was already gone. I would be walking the dog in the park. I slipped by accident, and it locks. So it would lock.
Now, hang on. I do have a question. So, if you knock on your knee, is it metal?
Yeah, I'm gonna buzz when I go through the airport.
Can you guys hear that? Like, oh yeah, there it is. Wow, that was incredible. So Bisping did a very similar thing on the Rogan show.
Actually, it sounds probably like this.
Very similar. Very similar. My mom does the same thing, by the way. She can't go through a metal detector. It's awesome.
But you know what? I feel so great. It changed my mental part to know that I have a right side again.
You have confidence back in it.
I lost. It started with the thumb in 2009, and we went to the wrist, my elbow. Then this. I never had back problems. I never had anything else, but the left thumb is what took me out of golf first, and then I went to work at Wright Toyota, and then for years, and they didn't give me 100% that they could fix my thumb. So I said, I'm not doing surgery. It's the same thumb, the same surgery Colt had, Stads.
Wait, hang on a second. Hang on. Because the BC Open that you played in, that's where I busted what I love to see is my wrist, but it was my thumb. So, hang on. What do you remember?
They called it skier's thumb, and I still have
oh my God, I was literally just pointing to here.
I mean, you can still see it, but the best part is it's all gone. I put a peptide in there. It doesn't feel good. Peptide, it breaks down the cartilage. and it's a needle that goes right in here. And then she put one right in here on top.
Who would have thought that this episode would be a medical episode, huh?
Dude, it's nuts. Dude,
Yeah.
with the knee, that I am so happy. The first month
People
sucked.
don't think golf is a sport. When all of a
No.
sudden you break down, I can tell you, like, I have a torn meniscus. I have whatever the hell it is that you just said, because
I still don't know.
The BC Open, and I was telling you off air, so I played in the Monday qualifier for it and literally busted what I thought was my wrist, but it ended up being this little area within the wrist/thumb, and it sounds like it's the exact same area. Now, I was too young. I was 18 years old at the time, so I didn't remember what the hell the doctor was telling me. But I did tell you that was the fastest in and out of a hospital that I've ever been in my life, and the PGA Tour paid for the entire
you said
thing,
that was great.
which was phenomenal. Which, hey, kudos to you, PGA Tour.
PGA Tour
As
is
we're
the
about
best.
to talk to
PGA
or
Tour
talk
is the
about
best.
the Live Golf Invitational
The PGA Tour
series.
is the best. The
It
European
is
Tour.
by far.
Asian
And
Tour.
There's not even a question about it. And so the Players Championship, I do want to. I want to migrate from our medical conversation.
Go
and your
ahead,
knee,
yeah.
Because
I'm good.
my God,
I'm ready to rock and roll. That's
the Players.
I can't wait.
The Players Championship was something to where me being a novice and like being early on within the sport, I actually thought that was a major. And I was a huge growing up. I wasn't necessarily a Tiger Woods fan. I was a David Duval fan. I loved Double D. Okay, I loved David Duval. I loved that he threw on all navy. My favorite color is blue. So I sat there and I'm like, oh, you're wearing all navy at the Masters? That is the greatest look I've ever seen in my life. Like,
all navy.
I wish somebody would break out. And here's the great thing about Duval and whoever his clothier was at the time, the navy's matched. You know how hard that is?
That is
to
hard.
like dye fabrics the exact same
That
color.
is hard. What color?
It was unbelievable.
Black shoes?
I have no clue.
It had to be black shoes.
No, it had to be white.
White,
Had to
yeah,
be white.
white,
Had to
yeah.
be because black. Now sometimes black goes with navy, but you'll get into a whole
That's
style
hard. Yeah, that's a
debate
hard
on that
one.
one. Like style blogs will all of a sudden start throwing us
Bubba
out
could
there.
pull it off because he has no taste.
Jesus, don't even get me started there.
I mean-
so Duval, when he won the Players, I thought he had won a major, and
Yeah.
I went to my golf team in high school and I'm like, Duval won a major, and they're like, no, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
And I'm like, no, he won a major. He
So
won the
you were the
Players.
ass.
I was the asshole.
You were the guy.
Because I didn't realize that there wasn't 5. There was only 4. But so to your point,
But it
that
is called the 5th.
My second. Now it is. They branded it. Finally,
Correct.
it's correctly branded.
Correct.
Now that's also one of my pet peeves is that the Players Championship. This is a Pete Dye golf course. For anybody that doesn't know Pete Dye, he hates golfers. He loved to just absolutely.
Make it hard.
I'm not. I was
wants to
gonna
make it
say,
hard.
I was gonna say a few coarse words about our boy Pete Dye, which he passed away a couple years back.
That's
and
okay.
I did
You
a
know,
little
who
send
cares?
out for him. He's got a great club in New York, by the way, called Pound Ridge, just outside of Greenwich, Connecticut. And my God, it is one of the hidden secrets in the United States. If you ever want to go play a public
Really?
club and spend $250 to go do it and has no clubhouse, Pound Ridge is the spot to go. It is. In my opinion, it's one of
Reminds
the
me
more
of someplace.
it's one of the more recent golf courses he's ever built. I know where you're going with that. Our audience has no clue. But with that said, this golf club is unbelievable. Unbelievable. We have no idea how the management is there, but it is unbelievable when it comes to the actual golf course. It's unreal. And so anyways, went there right before Pete passed away, and I did a little shout out to Pete afterwards because he's diabolical, man. Like, he utilizes illusions that you see within landscapes and builds in things that shouldn't, like the putts shouldn't break the way that they do. And that's the beautiful thing about TPC Sawgrass and why the Players Championship being there every single year is brilliant. When the PGA Tour decided to make that move, best move they've ever made, because they literally turned it into the second Masters.
Yeah, and not only that, they changed the dates, which these cold fronts that come through in Orlando, I've played them in final stage.
Well, it's
Orange County
Jacksonville.
National.
Don't throw Orlando into this.
No, but I'm saying when a cold front comes through, it's in Florida, and every year I was at final stage, it happened to be in Florida, where I hate playing golf because I just can't make any putts. But a cold front came through the first couple days in Orange County, and I'm like, oh my God, I just won first stage, I just won second, and now I'm 150th. But it's cold. It's extremely cold, and it sucks.
Well, it was
and
bitter
that
this
was when
week.
Q School was six rounds. But
I
yeah,
know.
I mean, Pat was happy. I read an article on Pat because he was playing with Poulter that day, and Poulter was running because they don't want to wake up in the morning and go play one hole. You know what I mean? So kudos to Poulter for running because Pat, his quotes were like, "I would have had a heart attack." So, and Poulter wouldn't hit, and then Pat birdies, though, he was 204 yards out, hits it to 3.5 feet in the dark, and makes a putt. That's a hell of a birdie on 18.
I mean, that's unreal.
I mean, and they finished, and then his quotes were, I love that we did it, because I don't have to do shit today. Word for word. So,
hence why the bad boy of the PGA
yeah,
Tour.
and he finished well.
Which Poulter's right behind him on that.
Those two together are. I've seen it.
I've interacted with. I have a voicemail from Poulter. He probably has no idea that he's ever left me a voicemail. But it's when I was with the golf simulator company, and he left me a voicemail. And my God, there was 32 questions, and he wanted one answer to those 32. He's an awesome guy.
I love Poult.
Oh, he's awesome.
Him.
And obviously,
he's such a prick. I love him. He's so great. I love him. I absolutely love him.
So this was a really weird scenario because we had a cold front come through. We definitely had a lot of rain and everything take place. And then Cam Smith comes away with it. Now, the one pet peeve that I have is that in the announcer's booth for the players, and in the analysis with the Golf Channel and everything, and they normally do a great job. I mean, Chambly obviously goes out on some limbs. I mean, yeah, right? Because he goes out on limbs to where people don't want to go, right? That's part of the reason why we're doing this podcast is because people aren't willing. Like, he toes the line and then comes back oftentimes because he's part of a big network. But we don't have to do that as a podcast that, you know, we aren't attached to a big network. So when I say that, it is to where when I looked at this particular group and the players that were competing, all of a sudden they're like, Cam Smith, prior to the final round, they're like, yeah, he's a member out here, but Cam tells us that, you know, he's at a disadvantage because he doesn't play the conditions that it normally plays for the Players' Championship.
Right.
That he plays in conditions that are much easier during the regular training out there and everything. Yeah, I sit there and I'm like, yeah, of course, but
these courses are closed.
But he knows it like his goddamn left hand, like the back of his left hand.
Yeah.
He's looking at it going, I know how this putt breaks. I know how this putt breaks.
Yep.
And even on a Pete Dye course, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
And with how good of a putter he is,
so
I sat there and I placed a bet on him, and I'm like, dude, this guy's winning. Like, there's no doubt. Yeah, of course I did. I sat there and I'm like, I didn't realize up until that broadcast to where, gosh, his odds were like, I mean, he was right there. I think it was like plus 1,100 maybe.
Beautiful.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. Yeah. And I'm like, and that analysis is what made me put the bet down on Cam, because I'm sitting there going, wait a second.
He's too good. He's too good.
He's a member there. Yeah. He plays out of there. He trains there all the time. You're trying to tell me and convince me that he's at a deficit?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
know. It's like saying that somebody's a member at Augusta National and that because...
Take my brother, for instance, at Torrey Pines.
Exactly.
You know, he plays...
Exactly.
He had 2 years, I want to say 2 years where he struggled with it. But he finished great this year. He's almost won it. He's finished fourth like 3 times or 4 times. He's always played well there, even though after they changed it in 2008 for the U.S. Open, which I was at, I think, I'm pretty sure he played okay there that week.
I mean, some of the changes were pretty drastic, but like that's the same thing though. It's like Torrey Pines.
Oh, they're very drastic.
Most people have a bad take on Torrey Pines because when it's not around a PGA Tour event, it's a dog track. Like, they don't take care of it. It's a municipal golf course. And that's what people need to understand. Like, it is one of the best golf courses. And this is why it's not listed like in the ranks of a Pebble Beach, because even during the off season, Pebble is still Pebble. You know what I mean? It's like they still curate and manicure that golf course because people are
better for $700.
Whatever it is, right?
The lodge is terrible. Rules.
Exactly.
Stay in Spanish. Yeah. Well, the new ones are good.
But when it comes to Torrey, like, people shit on it because they're like, oh, I went to Torrey and it wasn't that great.
Well, what do you expect?
No kidding. It's a municipality. It's like, it's a municipal golf course. Yeah. And, like, they're not going to groom it the way that they do for tour events. But, my God, when you get close to a tour event, is that golf course not one of the finest golf courses on the face of the planet?
I know
it. It's so good. It is.
I missed the qualifiers there back in the day by, like, 1 or 2. It would have been so fun to be able to play, and Pat and I got to play in the Children's Miracle Network together. And since
where did that take place?
That was Orlando. That was the last year of that used to be the last event for the tour in November when the season was back. Yeah, that was the last event, and Pat and I, I won the big break, so they gave me an exemption there. So. Yeah, for that event, and we played together. We had fun. The family was out there and everything. And
dude, the brothers playing together. I'd love to see it.
He goes, you need to do this. You need to do that. I'm like, oh my God. And then my hand goes out in the practice round. My thumb goes out, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
By the way,
I should 74, 70, I think.
This is the Justin Thomas scenario to where his dad at this most recent one where the father and son, right? Because Tiger was playing with Charlie. You had John playing with his son. And JT is throwing darts at everything. And his poor dad, he threw out his back. And he's just trucking along. And just can't find the broadside of a barn. Unreal. And yet JT is playing unbelievable. So and they're still competing with Tiger, Charlie, and JD and his son. It was unbelievable. But so you are basically you're a liability, Mikey.
Yeah, I know I can be. Yeah, I can be. Yeah, a big one. I could be. Yeah. Yeah,
that cracks me up, man.
Yeah,
but
it's. We'll
delve
into that.
Later date.
Plenty of time.
We'll save that one. Now, going back to Cam's, because I mean, my God, this guy rocks a fantastic mullet. And part of that analysis, by the way, was the fact that they're like, his swing is so out of control. And I'm
watching. So?
Well, they were saying it right on the Golf Channel, like pre fourth round. And, well, granted, you were actually the one that told me, I think, what was it? Because of our name of our podcast, Pole Hook Golf.
Yeah.
Which, by the way.
Oh, that snap hook he hit.
I am known to hit which, by the way, pole hook and snap hook. So it's the exact same thing. Pole hook, snap hook.
The one hit on 18 I've never seen.
I have fought this throughout my entire professional playing career and also within my amateur playing career of having an issue to where flexibility in my hamstrings does not match up, and I tend to early extend and then either block or pull hook. So hence the name of the podcast being Pull Hook.
Sir.
But so Cam hit a snappy little pull hook on 18, right?
It was quick. I mean, it's like a shotgun. You get the shotgun out and get the duck.
Right? I wish we could get some footage of that, because the best pull hook that I have ever seen is actually Angel Miguel Jimenez.
Really, the mechanic.
Oh my God, this guy, he had the best, and it was early days, so it was in the 90s. And I remember watching a golf tournament and like watching from like shot to shot, and I'm watching everything, and all of a sudden they did a quick little snap over, or like a quick change to Miguel, and all of a sudden they were talking about the fact that he doesn't ever really warm up or practice for tour events back in the early 90s.
God, now it's like a damn yoga class.
The producer on this was nasty, because he switched, he panned really quick to him all of a sudden just snapping this duck hook into the water on the left. Again, I digress, but it goes back to the name of Pull Hook Golf. So Cam hit a duck hook on 18.
On 18.
Yep, you saw it.
Yep.
You tried to send it over to me. We never got it, but if I can find the footage, I will, and I'll add it here.
I was shocked. I was shocked.
So with Cam, though, like they're talking about this and that he's such a great putter, blah, 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 and his swing is so out of control that that's the only thing that holds him back, and that, like, he started to realize that he can, like, a lot of this golf analysis bullshit is what I see in a lot of other sports too, to where, like, they just make up shit. Like, they make up stuff that sounds logical, but isn't really the case. Like, I don't sit there and go, oh, Cam Smith knows that his swing is fucked and that it's not very good and it's going to get wild throughout the round, and as long as he stays super conservative, he can rely on his putter. I don't sit there and say that. I think Cam, I mean, he's rocking a damn mullet, Mikey. He's rocking a mullet.
Up. It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful.
And he even, did you see the clip where, I don't know when it was, but he has AUS for Australia, like, actually shaved in the side
is it really?
into, like, not right now, but like this was before maybe the President's Cup or something like that.
Yeah,
to where like he shaved it into the side of his freaking mullet, and it's amazing. Like, this guy gives two. Like, this is also something, by the way, that most people don't realize. Like, he went fishing before a tournament to where he had his entire like box and tackle and everything. I don't know what the hell it's called, but he goes out and he's fishing in a damn pond after a golf tournament one day. Like, he gives two shits. Do you think that he actually gives two shits about the fact that his swing's a little bit wild right now?
I don't think a lot of, that's why I'm so glad Johnny Miller's done and off the air.
I sat next to Johnny Miller on a plane, by the way. He's actually, I will say this, I think he was given a lot of personality. Like, he was a show personality on broadcast to where
I remember when I would hit 5-iron. If it was 3 feet offline, it was a bad shot.
In defense of Johnny Miller, I will say he was the nicest guy ever. And I didn't even introduce myself. He had no idea who I was, but he saw that on my backpack that I used to travel with. And he was riding in coach, and I was riding in coach, and he saw on my bag, it said Lopes and golf. Because we had a Ping backpacks, which, by the way, if there's ever an auction, I don't know if Ping has ever come out with a backpack ever since. I'm not sure.
They do. They do. My buddy has one.
Yeah. So, but they might be vintage at this point, which is what I'm saying.
I know he does. It's so
if we ever need to raise some funding, I'm going to put it up on auction.
Right. I got some guitars.
So he sees that, and he starts a conversation. He goes, "Are you a golfer?" And I'm like, yeah. And we got into a full conversation. Johnny Miller. And over the course of like a 3-hour damn flight, he picked my brain. Really? Like, super nice guy. So that tells me, by the way, that he knew his role on television. He knew that he had to be the guy to have the take that was most polarizing. So that's why I think, and I know what you're thinking right now.
Well, no, because Pat just played well, like finished second or third, and they were on the same flight, and he didn't say 2 words to Pat. I remember Pat told me this.
Well, Johnny also, by the way, was a no-hat guy, right? Yeah. Back in the day, he was a no-hat guy. He used to wear the plaid pants.
He should wear a hat because he looks terrible.
But had the plaid pants on.
I love the plaid.
And he was. I can see how him and Pat might not get along. Pat with the long hair, kind of the bad boy like impression going on, and I don't know how much those two would have in common. To be quite honest,
no. One drinks every.
I mean, if Johnny started getting a little lit, and part of the conversation that him and I had on the airplane, I think that actually him and Pat would get along quite well. But I bet you it's too close quarters.
Yeah, I played on tour with this kid, Andy, and then he left. Yeah, and then he left to go on a mission, to do his mission. Yeah, which, whatever. But
we digressed. We digressed hard. We got into Johnny Miller. We went from Cam. How do we go from Cam Smith to Johnny Miller? By the way, I don't know. But that's the beauty of this podcast
because it was a snap hook, and we're talking about the pull hook, and that was You know,
and
just
the
for everybody
announcers
out
and
there.
everybody talking about it ahead of time, the analysis, right? Chambly, the guys at the Golf Channel, which, by the way, they do a phenomenal job.
They
and I
do.
get their role. I completely get their role. But some of their takes on this shit just drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I sit there and I go, you made that shit up with your producers ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even relate to how a golfer thinks a lot of times.
That's
and
right.
I like Chambly because of the standpoint that, yes, does he cross the line? Sure,
Yes.
he does.
And I
But
love him for
at
it.
least, yes, exactly. I like the fact that he likes to do that, and he has the personality, and he's got the broad shoulders to take that on, right?
Yeah, he doesn't care if the player doesn't like him. He
Exactly.
doesn't care. He's such a nice guy.
But the one thing they did say is Cam Smith's putting is
amazing.
unfucking believable.
Now, who do you think has the worst putting?
I mean,
I think we're going to agree on this, and we did not.
should
talk
we
about
say
anything.
should we say it on a count of three? You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Will
Zalatoris.
Zalatoris? Yes, yes, 100%.
Poor boy.
Guy,
He's a
so
string
good.
bean. He's soaking wet, 135 pounds. This guy absolutely bombs
So
the ball.
good.
Great ball striker.
Oh my
has an
gosh.
absolutely phenomenal swing, which if you've ever had a golf lesson with me, you're going to know that wrist hinge can be overdone.
Yep.
And he does not. He very much so keeps width in his golf swing, which
Yep.
goes back to my playing days to where I'm sure Butch doesn't even realize that I was part of his academy and training at the time with Adam Scott and Natalie Golbus and so forth. But that was a big thing that we trained there
Sure.
was that, you know, that 3/4 swing, not that much wrist hinge. And because it's about control, it's about creating width and leverage within
That's
the golf
right.
swing. And with Zalatoris, my God, if this kid could putt.
I don't know why.
What
like,
is it, Mike?
It's like a figure 8.
Come on,
The
Mikey.
grip,
Tell me.
it's just so shitty. It's just.
But what is it about it? Like,
I don't know. It's quick to begin with, and when you get
it is a little
his
quick,
putter,
right?
Yeah,
because
which
I
is
saw him at
fine.
the Farmers. Now
Which is
he
fine.
did putt well at the
He ma-
Players within 10 feet. So he started like he's working on the shorter putts. However,
It's not working. not
well,
working.
the
He
longer
should've
putts
won.
aren't working.
He should have won.
I mean, if he
twice.
based off of his ball striking, he should have won more than twice.
Yeah,
But that's a
exactly.
lot of guys. But his putting stroke,
He's
by the way,
missing putts
is
this far. I couldn't believe it. I just can't. I can't get over it. And
so.
I
What
had
do
a
you
putter on
what
it.
do you think is the answer for a guy like Will Zalatoris? Who should he go to, because he's obviously getting lessons and
That's
he's
something
got his
I don't know if-
coach.
I don't think that's something that's something that's a tick. You know, he moves.
So you think it's
a
like
tick.
the yips?
I used to do a figure 8. They were to get it online. I'd be at the. I'd be at the
you were
camera
like
studio.
Koepka. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be at.
Have
the
you ever
camera
seen
studio and see
Koepka's
it go this
putting?
way. Yeah.
He comes
Yeah.
out and then back in and then around.
Yeah.
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 So I tended to
That putter, whatever he's using, he needs to get rid. He grips it. What is it, like a claw grip or whatever? It's over. First of all, I'm not a fan of this.
No,
you know, let's get that's
the
stupid.
broomstick, the attaching it to your arm, like
Yeah.
all of that shit. Like I know, obviously the tours got rid of, and the RNA got rid of attaching it or anchoring.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be able to anchor it to your arm either. Like,
No.
Kuchar,
What's the
are
difference?
you kidding me? No, absolutely not. Like,
Yeah, that
you
cheap
should not be
asshole.
able to do that.
That
But
cheap ass.
and here's the other thing: is that a lot of it is mental. Because
Yeah.
when you're under pressure, everything changes. Your
Yes,
feel, and I've had this happen. Like
too.
in it, so Monday qualifying for the BC Open.
What'd you shoot
Sorry,
that day?
oh god. Well, I was leading the Monday qualifier after hole number 1. I birdied the first day.
So you shot 85.
I have no idea. I actually don't know because I had to stop. So I hurt my wrist that bad.
That's right. I'm
Basically,
kidding.
I was playing really well, and like my coach at the time was caddying for me, and I ended up hitting a shot over into the tall grass, which we were playing Hiawatha, which this golf course is set up like a links course.
Hiawatha.
Yeah, Hiawatha Golf Links. It's a phenomenal golf course in the area, which was actually the best spot for a Monday qualifier. Like, they used to hold it at this place called Heritage Country Club, which was an easy golf track. So everybody would shoot 62, 63. But then you got it over to Hiawatha, and all of a sudden it's like 66, 67 is getting into a Monday qualifier. And when you look at Monday qualifiers, like, Monday qualifiers go low.
Yeah.
They go so low. But nobody could go that low at Hiawatha because it was a real golf track.
Not back then.
It was actually harder of a golf course than Enjoy Golf Course, which was the BC Open. Yeah. And so I ended up hitting it over into some high grass, not realizing there was a root underneath. And I think I was like maybe even par at the time. And and it was deep into the round too. It was like probably hole, like, I want to say it was on the back 9. It was like hole 12 or 13. And I was still even par. And I had a legitimate shot. And so all of a sudden, and that's why the PGA Tour took care of it, because they're like, listen, you
paid in the event too,
but you legitimately had like a shot to get in, and they felt bad. They took me over to, they actually took me over to
the course and probably put you on the trailer.
Exactly. So I went to the trailer, and they're like, no, you need to go to the hospital. You need to get an MRI on this and everything. And that's when they found, like, you tore these little tendons in your wrist, which go into the thumb, which again, it kind of goes into that entire thing.
I get it.
But with that said, when I was out there and putting, all of a sudden, after the first hole, my caddy, who was my coach at the time, goes, and Tim O'Neill, which he caddied. I
love Timmy O'Neill.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal guy. And he all of a sudden goes, breathe. And I'm like, what? He goes, you're not breathing. And I'm like, holy shit, you're right. And I realized that, like, I had to literally train myself to start breathing. And on the second hole,
that's why I smoke.
On that, yes, exactly. On that green, I literally blew, like, I had no feel. Like, my hands were numb. I wasn't breathing enough. A lot of people don't realize this, but under pressure, you start to lose these feelings that you normally have. And so, for instance, I'll give you the exact scenario that I've seen this in person, and I'm not taking credit for this whatsoever, which it's not something you want to take credit for anyways, but I posted because I had been at Butch Harmon's facility. I had been training with Adam Scott, and actually this was recent. It was over the past 2 years. I go, and I forget what tournament it was, but I'm like, I posted on his Instagram account, and I was like, man, you need to get rid of that broomstick, because at Butch's place on those, like, they would cut them down for the Masters and for the U.S. Open, and they'd be running at 14, 15 on stamp. Like, even faster than what you would see at the tournament.
At Rio Seco?
Yeah, at Rio Seco.
Yeah, those greens are...
Exactly. And they would cut those down, and we would sit out there and putt. Yeah. And I've seen Adam putt with a blade putter, like a normal Scotty Cameron, and he drained everything.
See,
everything, so Mikey, everything. Like, there were times to where I'm like, holy shit, like, this dude's a legit putter. But then, so I post this on his Instagram page, and ironically enough, he goes out and he plays maybe the Open Championship. I forget what it was, but he goes out and plays and putts terribly. And he's got the blade putter. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh God, please, God, never. I should never comment on anybody's page ever again. And I think after day one, he went back to the broomstick. But that's where, like, yes, in some ways I understand it, because with a broomstick, you take a pendulum and it's a math equation. Yeah. When you have a feel of a blade putter in your hands, it's feel.
Yeah, I can't take a broom back straight.
Me neither.
It's
never been able to.
It's too fast. I can't do it. I used a belly putter and got through first and second before, and then I think I switched to finals, and then switched drivers and did everything else.
Do you think with Will that it's mental versus actually like the fundamentals?
I'm not a fan of the grip. I'm not a fan of his putting grip, obviously.
So
I don't like the take back.
You know who I think he should go to? And again, this comes up to my great advice. Going out to any pro.
He should go see Drew Steckel. Look what he did for Jason Kokrak.
I was going to say Stan Utley.
Oh, Utley, of course.
I love Utley.
Utley's great.
So I've never met Utley in person. But, like,
quiet.
My golf coach at the time back in New York, who was my caddy and everything, he studied Stan Utley and his philosophy of a flowing that really your putting stroke is just the exact same thing as a swing, but abbreviated. Yeah. And that's where, like, whenever I've putted really, really well, I've gone with that style. And I'm not the type, I can't sit there and go, hey, 8 inches back in my backstroke is going to be 12 feet.
Oh, no. No.
Absolutely not.
No,
like, I can't do it. I'm a feel person, which is why, by the way, whenever I would get into and it's funny that we entered into that with the intro around my professional days as a mini tour golfer and my shittiness, so to speak.
Well, I've had my shittiness. Don't worry.
But it's because of that. It's because when I get under pressure, like under that type of pressure.
If I would have just stayed in my room, I would have been fine.
I kind of feel the same way.
Damn it.
If I had never actually entered onto that first tee, I would have been great.
If I would have just stayed in Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays.
All right, let's get into Will Zalatoris.
So
our recommendation to you is to find a putting guru. Whether that,
not even that, switch putters.
By the way, no, but I'm saying putting guru because also go to Jay Haas. Look what he did for Rory at the time.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
When Rory was working with Jay,
the sellout.
I mean, come on.
He sold out South Africa.
I don't give a shit.
To go to the Olympics.
I don't give a shit.
Would you sell out America to go play the Olympics?
No, but I'm American.
Exactly. Exactly.
But because I'm American, do I care that somebody sold out South Africa? No. But South African people probably will. And I had a few South Africans on my golf team in college that probably are sitting here going...
Just like why Justin Rose didn't play in the thing because him and Padraig Harrington didn't get along.
Oh, there's some dirt there. But we're gonna hold off on that. Let's dive into the new golf league because I mean, my God, this has been a hot topic. I feel like for the past, it feels like years,
Nissan,
but it's only a couple of months, right?
Nissan, listen to me, Nissan. I just call it the Nissan. It's the Genesis now. Jeez.
The Nissan.
The Nissan.
You said
I said the Nissan.
Wait, what's the Genesis? Well, I know the Riv.
Well, Tiger's
no. Well, here's but it was
Nissan.
going on before that. But the meeting, the players only meeting, and this was something that I kind of sat there and I go, wow, this is kind of messed up. That the PGA Tour with Jay Monahan, and credit, you and I both love the PGA Tour. We love the legacy. We love the Masters. We love everything that coincides to it. Everything. However, to sit everybody down and go, hey, if you're going to play an event on this tour, you're out. I don't know how to take that.
That's a tough one.
How do you take it? I mean, your brother plays on the PGA Tour.
Pat's
what if he decided? But what if he did?
I mean, he would be doing it, and he'd probably tell you, I'll do it for the money. You know,
for me, it wouldn't be about the money. Which, by the way, the new name is the Live Golf Invitational Series.
I don't know what Pat
is. Is it Live or LIV?
I don't know
because it's LIV, like it's spelled that way.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's pronunciated as the Live. Like I just knew it as the Saudi League for the longest time because that's how everybody referred to it as. But now it has a real name and it has real things attached to it now.
What does LIV stand for? Like what?
So I think that's the group that technically invested the seed round into it.
Norman's stuff?
Yeah, so it's all tied through Greg Norman, right?
Yeah.
And we all know that the money's coming from the Saudis because obviously there's been a lot of comments around that and so forth. Right. But fuck, man, I got to tell you, there's $255 million in purses over 6 events. Over 6 events, Mikey. Over 6 events. So they have $400 million in seed funding. Like... If I am somebody who has everything at this point, like if I'm a Dustin Johnson,
like Phil.
No, I'm going to take a step back because we'll get into Phil. We'll get into his comments, but I look at somebody like Dustin Johnson. He's got a wife, he's got a kid. Like they're living the lifestyle. Like, if you look at any of his social posts, right? Because he's got Paulina Gretzky. He's got the greatest hockey player of all time as his father-in-law.
And mentor.
Yeah, well, he followed him around when he went through his issues and everything, with some substance and so forth, but I digress. But yeah, he followed him around to chaperone him for a period of time, mentored him, brought him up to speed as to how to be this great athlete. I mean, he's won the Masters, which clearly was a big, huge thing for him because, I mean, at the time, we used to hear from the jet companies that he was with. I'm not going to drop names.
Right.
But when it came to the jet companies, every Masters he used to have set up to where at the end he wanted steaks to be on, so filet mignon is what I heard, champagne, and also like balloons and everything, and he kept losing. And then he finally wins the damn thing, right? When all of a sudden COVID happens and it happens in the fall, golf course is a lot softer.
That's
like, yeah, is there an asterisk attached to it? Maybe, but maybe not. Like in the golf history books, you may never understand that tournament took place in much different conditions.
Oh, 100%.
To where ryegrass was just recently planted. Right. They had never done that early in the season before. Never led to a great Masters in April, by the way, which was phenomenal. But with this said, you've got somebody like Dustin Johnson who all of a sudden has this lifestyle, and you've got 6 events.
And he doesn't care about being number one.
No! Like,
he doesn't care.
I hate to say it, but and the announcers always try to say, oh, he's super competitive, you just don't see it. It's like, no! Like,
He's very competitive.
Well, you think so?
I do.
Because he doesn't have the demeanor.
That's what makes him so great. That's why he's such a great player.
See,
he's competitive, but he's low key.
I don't know.
He wins every year.
I don't know. See,
well,
that's the one. That's the one. West
I've hung
Coast
out with
take.
him outside the golf course.
Yes, exactly. You've got more of an experience with him than I do. The one
Not
thing
that.
But would you say that
kind of experience?
But
maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
no. Booze. Yeah.
But anyways,
so
with DJ, but do you get a feel from him and hanging out with him and so forth that like the lifestyle is an important factor? Yes. Let's put it that. Not the competitiveness, because there's still going to be competitiveness on this tour. They're going to get guys. Like, that's the one thing with this type of money behind it over 6 events.
They're gonna get them.
They're gonna get guys.
Get
like
some people.
Phil's gone.
Gone. When has Phil never played Bay Hill?
Dude,
first of all, when has he not played Phoenix?
Phil, first of all,
he's a Thunderbird. He's a Blue Velvet.
He's the oldest major champion of all time.
Yeah.
Let me repeat that. He is the oldest major champion of all time.
Now, do you think he is suspended right now?
Yeah.
You do?
100%.
Yeah, he has to.
So, and this is where let's get into Phil, because my personal take, and I posted this, so on Golf Pros NYC, I posted this on the Instagram page, and there was a lot of like different opinions on it. Sure. But it was one that I was just like, knowing the inner workings and knowing that meeting was coming up, where it was a players only meeting with Jay Monahan before Rev, and knowing what that conversation was going to be about in the memo that went out to the guys ahead of time.
Right.
I sat there and I go, wow, this cancel culture, the PGA Tour just pulled every string that they have to cancel out Phil. Like, they wanted so quickly to detach themselves and pressure every sponsor. I do not think.
He should have lost.
People are going to get upset with this, but I don't care, because it's my personal take on it.
Yeah.
Is that I don't think it was the Saudi comments that technically were off the record that ended up getting published.
It was supposed to be off the record, correct.
It was, but those are things that we've heard from numerous people.
Every single American would say that.
Exactly. So it's not something that's outside, like out of bounds. But the one thing that could be done is within media, and saying that within media, the PGA Tour could leverage that. And I think they found an opening. I think they found their guy, because they knew that Phil is on his way out. Like, Phil's not competing at the same level that he used to. The PGA Championship was a fluke.
He's going to win every single senior tournament.
It was a great story. It was a great story for 2021.
Yes, it was.
It was a great story. However, they knew that if they could cancel out Phil, that they would be sending a message to everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we
Yeah.
can cancel you at any given point in time. So you better watch what you do and what you say. And by the way, just so that everybody knows, they held a players-only meeting with Jay Monahan to where he told them, you cannot play on this tour or else you will not be playing on the PGA Tour.
That's correct. That's correct.
Tell me a little bit more about that, Mike.
Yeah, I think it's an ultimatum, basically, right? I mean, it's a pretty big ultimatum. Do I agree with it? You know, if my brother made a good point saying, you know, they should, a good way for the PGA Tour to let this all go away, because if it's going to be about money, is they make so much money every week. The tour does. And
Oh,
it
it's
goes to
insane.
good charity. They can do this. They do the right stuff. But these guys deserve. Give them $250,000, $300,000 before they tee off. They deserve that, especially off the TV contracts.
Well, that's not even getting into,
You know what I mean?
where you spent the most of your days. I stayed away from it with the whole, nationwideweb.com. What is it now? Corn Ferry?
Ferry, yeah. I remember it was Hogan, and then
Nike?
I got on Nike. It was Hogan, Nike, and then when I got on
Gateway?
it was
well, no, it was never Gateway,
not
was
Gateway.
it?
No, there was a Gateway tour out here in Scottsdale.
Yeah, no, I played in the Gateway.
Yeah,
I played
that's
in
what we
the
do.
event out here.
Yeah, that's Ryan Prey. That's who did
Yep.
it. It was great. I loved it.
Oh, the Gateway
And
Tour
then-
was the best thing out here. I played on the
my
Pepsi
gosh.
Tour out here too.
Oh
but-
yeah.
No,
Gold
the,
State Tour.
Oh yeah.
But I think they need to throw the players some money. You know, they don't get guaranteed. They spend over $400,000 traveling, hotels.
I was just
food
about to say
go
that.
out. You know what I mean?
So I had a buddy out of college, and he went and he Q schooled, but he got onto the nationwide tour at the time, and
probably lost money.
He ended up 150 grand in debt.
Yeah,
that's what he told me.
I think I was close to 65 one year.
And that's entirely why, by the way, that I stuck to the local mini tours to see, okay, hey, one, can I play under pressure?
Yeah.
Which clearly I couldn't. And two, like, let me not lose my face and be in all this debt about it.
I spent $2,500 a week.
Yeah.
That's caddy, hotel, food.
So maybe to your point,
rental car.
Maybe to your point, it's not about. Well, granted, they should absolutely pay every guy that shows up for a PGA Tour event.
Yes.
Something.
I think they should get something.
Like if
Like
the
a basketball player.
If the PGA Tour is the employer, right?
Yes, correct.
Any other type of business, if you show up for a day's worth of work, you're getting paid.
Getting paid, yeah.
They should be paid for their services rendered, whether that be that they crapped the bed and didn't make a cut. Like, but I get the pyramid scheme, right?
The Pro-Am deal, they get paid, obviously. It goes into a retirement thing. They make X amount. Yes, they did fix the pension and this and that for them. But they deserve the guy that's I think the top 125. Or maybe top 150.
but that's not even the guys who really need that, right?
That's right.
I mean, it's the guys that are at the bottom that are struggling.
Yeah.
Like, they're the new guys. Like, they're not used to a lot of these golf courses that they're going out and playing.
Yeah.
They don't have the course knowledge. They're coming out for the first time. And by the way, a lot of the challenges behind the rookies is that they've never played a lot of these golf courses before.
Well, and the contracts aren't as big as they used to be back in the early 2000s, going up into, because all their money is going, TaylorMade, it's all going to Dustin and Rory and Tiger, right?
Well,
Titleist
and
is JT.
Phil, because, hey, Phil was number 2 on that whole new thing that they did, which I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't either.
The influencer deal, to where it's like, hey, how much did you move the needle as a player? And I think golf has always been where it is the top of the pyramid that always makes the most amount of money. Yeah. Always. Like, the guys at the bottom, you are you might only be able to afford McDonald's that day.
That's right. And that's why I want to let
nothing
let
against
our
McDonald's.
viewers.
You have delicious double Cheeseburgers.
I
lived off of it in Vegas when I was struggling.
I'd say ramen for me.
I still remember finding just enough change in my center console to be able to get a double cheeseburger at McDonald's one day when I was playing on the Butch Harmon Vegas tour. Oh. And my God, was that the happiest day of my life.
You see?
I sat there and I go, holy shit.
Yeah.
I have $1.27, which at the time it was 99 cents plus tax.
And full.
And holy shit, it was like $1.26. And I could eat that day. And I could go out and try to qualify, and my God, did I
Vegas,
that was one of the tournaments that I actually won money at. But Boulders Creek.
Oh, yeah. That's where they have the qualifier for the Shriners, I think.
I think so. I saw that actually.
They do, yeah.
And I was like, I might go out there and try that.
Yeah.
And granted,
I tried it once. I tried it out of the blue and I think I shot like 73 or something. And
I had been training out of Butch Harmon's for months at that point, and my swing was as good as it ever was. And all of a sudden, there was like 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, it blows.
And I had complete control over my golf swing, and I shot 1 under that day. Nice. And I was in the lead, and I'm just like, what is happening? I'm like, the world is shifting.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't handle it. Day 2 and I finally made a cut. I made some money.
Yeah.
But holy shit, like I didn't even know how to deal with that type of pressure of actually making a cut and getting through and everything. Yeah, kind of crazy when you think about how pressure can play such a role. But getting back to this league, they have $400 million of seed funding. So and you know where they're starting it?
No.
I'm gonna botch this name. Centurion Club or Golf Club in London. They're starting it over there. Then they're gonna go to Pumpkin Ridge, and then they're going to Trump National Bedminster, which I love that golf club. That's a great club. The International in Boston. Then they're going to the Rich Harvest Farms in Chicago, and then Stonehill in Bangkok. Which as soon as I saw Bangkok, I don't know why, but I'm like, Dustin Johnson, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, you're winning that golf tournament, Dustin. Yeah. And also I read a little bit about, and then they go back to Saudi, and they go back to Saudi Arabia and go to Royal Greens Golf Club, which there's been a lot of
press.
This
is happening. This is happening.
No, it's fully in effect.
When's the first tournament again?
So June 9th through the 11th is Centurion Golf Club in London. And again, I just look at it like, I know we've talked about Phil and how Phil is gone because Phil lost every sponsor.
So he should
the one sponsor, no, he should not have. And especially even for the comments, and people will disagree with us on this, but I don't care. The thing is, his Callaway sponsorship, you know how much money Callaway made off of him for that win at the Masters, and that they were able to trademark that logo of him jumping up in the air? There's no doubt there's more pressure than just media saying, oh, his comments were wrong about Saudi Arabia. Are you kidding me? Are you not telling me that Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour called up Callaway and go, hey, if you want to continue our relationship, that you need to pull or at least pause. That's the funny thing with Callaway, right?
I love it.
Yeah. That's the key term.
Yeah,
key term. We're going to wait till this all blows over, and then we're going to restart our relationship with Phil. But that tells me also, by the way, that there was pressure. There was tons of pressure on them as a company in their dealings because they're ingrained on a week in, week out basis with the PGA Tour. So that tells me that they had a very strong arm in that type of relationship with Callaway to be able to pull those strings. Because who else is doing it? Like Nobody. You're not going to sit here and tell me that all of a sudden the Golf Channel pulled strings to where, and no, they're not getting pressure from the higher ups from that standpoint.
I'm a Phil fan. I've always liked him and his brother, Tim, Tina, his parents are fantastic. I hate to see that he has to go through this. Now, did he do stuff in the past to maybe, inside trading and, stuff like that?
Oh, you digress hard.
You know what I mean? But did he do things
We told you this would be unfiltered, people.
Yeah, I mean, I can't go into that too much, but there are things that he's done. And
but Phil's Phil, man. In the golf industry, I met Phil in New Jersey, and he had just won the Open Championship. We were trying to work a deal with him at the time with the golf technology company that I was an executive with, and I went up and I introduced myself after they were done having dinner. But they were obviously, the tournament was being conducted at Liberty National, and I went up to Phil, and they're all drinking. I mean, they're drinking out of the claret jug, and we end up taking a picture with Phil. And Phil's just the nicest freaking guy. As soon as he knew, he's like, "Oh, you're in the golf industry. Oh, yeah." You know, I guarantee you he had no idea who I was or the company I was talking about at the time. But because it was probably more so going through his agent and so forth. But he was the nicest guy. He was willing to take the time. He wanted to take a picture. He wanted to introduce himself to everybody. And it was just like when we were with a big party, and he just ate it up. And it's like, great. But that's Phil. But we all know Phil is that, right? That, you know, Phil's this guy. He eats up the publicity. He loves, obviously, you see the shots that he takes at people with those little dicks around him. Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, and I won. I'm the oldest, PGA champion." Like, he takes shots at everybody, and that's the thing. Like, sometimes being a little bit unfiltered can be a little bit of a challenge because, you know, if you don't toe the line tight enough, then you're going to lose sponsors like that because you get pressure from other areas. Oh,
JT.
boy.
How did he know
he rebounded great. He rebounded great.
But how did he know the camera was on him? You know, that's the lame thing. There's a 15-second delay. They didn't have to show that.
No.
Why do you think this announcer curse works all the time? Because they see it prior, and then they say something, and then they miss the putt. A perfect example. Oh, he hasn't missed an inside a 10-footer all week or in 2 weeks or something. And he misses it. I forgot who it was. Yeah, they see it. They see it before. That's why they say it.
Exactly.
I know it for a fact. It has to
you're spot on. It
makes sense, right? It makes sense.
You're 100% spot on. And they're feeding this out because they know that the publicity only helps them. Even if it's bad publicity around a player, they're happy to throw them under the bus to promote the brand.
Sure.
Because they want everybody to know that the brand is above everything. Yeah. That the brand is on the up and up. The shield, right? I've heard this from multiple sports organizations. I've dealt with multiple sports organizations in dealings, and it's all about the shield. And whether it's the NFL or the MLB or so on and so forth, or the PGA Tour, like the PGA Tour logo, that's what they call the shield. And it's all about the shield and protecting that. And I just think that they've gone too far in this whole thing. I think they got nervous. I really do. I think they got nervous because of media rights. Because that's one thing in literally every league possible. Like, the league owns the media rights.
It's a lot of money, too.
A shit ton of money.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
A shit ton of money.
How does someone... I mean...
And I get Phil's take.
No cut.
Like, Phil's like, I'm the guy in the media. But... Like, the flip side of that is that the PGA Tour put that event on and took the video, and that's the only reason why you have media.
Well, what sucks is that it wasn't supposed to... That comment was not supposed to be let out.
No.
So, we're
sitting here talking about this because of the standpoint that Phil has paused.
He's a legend. He's a legend.
He is. And it's crazy, but I think the only reason they went so hard at him and why they wanted to make an example out of him is because they saw him as a scapegoat to make an example of for everybody else, because his days, like, how many more years does Phil have on the tour? Let's be honest.
I mean,
he already started playing in Champions Tour events.
He's 3 for 3.
Yeah, but he already started playing in those, right?
Yeah.
Before he ended up winning the Players' Championship.
Yeah, he won here.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's like the PGA Tour is cutting their losses with him to say, all right, he's at the end of his career anyways. Yeah. We'll honor him down the road, but we want to make sure we try to shut this thing down. And what a great example to where we don't have a whole lot of collateral damage if we just cancel him out right now, get rid of all of his sponsors, and then we have all of these people. It's unreal.
I can't believe the sponsors.
It actually pisses me off that this was done, because outside of being a David Duval fan, then I was a Phil Mickelson fan, and then obviously I love Tiger because of what Tiger's done, not only for the sport, but because of who he is and be the greatest golfer of all time. And that that talent level came out of sacrifice, a big sacrifice. If you've ever seen the documentary, which was fantastic, by the way.
I saw him play. Believe me, with him and Pat battling it out since they were 10 years old.
You realize real quick that kid never had a childhood, and really quick that he was only built to be what he is, and that he was due to be a failure in everything else outside of golf, because he was never taught that way. And I've met Tiger before in passing, and I feel terrible for him, to be honest with you. And that being said, the Phil Mickelson thing, and going back to him, I do think that if he starts to play on this tour and he starts to bring some guys,
he's gonna win.
But not only that, but let's say DJ goes over. Yeah. Because DJ's on this yacht lifestyle.
And DuChambeau.
I would love to see DuChambeau. I had a fantasy football team called DuChambeau. I'm not even going to lie. It literally was a picture of him and in just like one of his rages. And my fantasy football team was called DuChambeau. But that's, and you don't even know that, which is hilarious that you actually just brought up that name. And it was literally DuChambeau. But I grew to love that dude because of the standpoint of what he tried to do.
Yeah, I did like
when he won at Wingfoot, the sacrifice.
Everything.
People don't realize that
it takes too long.
He's not an idiot. Like,
he's
a smart guy. He knows,
very.
and he might say, listen, I've built up my body for this, X, Y, Z.
He's going to be done.
He knows. He literally sacrificed years of his career for that win. And to me...
But now he's got issues that are not going to just go away.
No.
These are issues that
Mikey,
are bad. He should have just hit iron and withdrew from Torrey.
Well, the one thing that I see, he swung at the max speed that he could possibly swing on every club. It wasn't just driver.
Right.
Did you see his wedge stats?
Yeah, that's true.
Hitting a pitching wedge, like, I forget what it was, but like something ridiculous.
84 yards.
Oh, yeah, 170, 180, something like that.
On number 8. At Torrey Pines.
Come on. Like, you got to tone it down. And I kind of miss the old days of when precision was the sport.
I miss the old days, period.
Yeah.
And not the harder you swing, the higher it goes, it flattens out and goes down.
I don't like this whole new game. And granted, call me...
It lets everyone in.
But I wasn't a fan back when precision was the key. Like, I came in to this sport at the age of 13 when Tiger Woods just hit the scene and was bombing the ball and, like, dominating and so forth. But, yeah, I, like... Coming into it, even at a later age, and seeing what it's become, it's like, man, I'm like going back and watching old film and everything.
Oh, I love it.
It's unreal.
What Faldo did, Sebi. How about Sebi? Sebi's my idol. What they did with the golf balls being softer and actually hit shots.
The U.S. Open that Tiger won.
Yeah, exactly.
Playing a Tour Bellata where everybody else was playing a harder golf ball.
Yeah,
he was the only one out there playing a Tour Bellata, which if you've ever played a Tour Bellata, my favorite golf ball of all time. Yeah. It is the best feeling golf shot you will ever hit in your life.
Max Fly HT, the Royal Max Fly, and then the Tour 90 I loved.
No, the Tour Bellata
was great.
The Bellata The Bellata would last you about 3 holes.
Well, especially
and then it would get a cut.
Oh, 3? It lasted me 1, especially if I hit because I had.
Well, if I hit my pull hook into the trees,
I would have because I played I2 berylliums in square grooves, so they were done. Then I went to blades for the rest of. For God knows how long.
As soon as I went to blades, I couldn't go back. Yeah. I tried later on.
I'm going back to blades.
No,
that's what I accept.
Well, so you don't play blades anymore?
Well, I got blades, but I'm going back to real blades.
Muscle.
These aren't the. Yeah, I'm going back to the real.
I went my first
Callaways.
So I went to blades because somebody in high school told me that you can't hit blades, you're not good enough. And that was enough for me to like literally go, fuck you.
Yeah,
I'm playing blades.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play muscleback blades. And so I played muscleback blades for, God, the longest time. And then all of a sudden, and I've had periods within my golf days to where like I take time off. Like right now, I haven't played golf since September. Since September. And I can go in periods. Yeah. But then I get the itch, and I'm like, I gotta go play. I gotta play, and all of a sudden, whenever it comes back, I've got to all of a sudden be playing all the time. Right. And the funny thing is, like one of these stints,
I can't wait.
I ended up going to the Titleist AP2s.
Oh yeah.
And because I saw Spieth playing them, and I'm like, all right, you know what, let me give these a shot. I got fitted for them on literally by club fitters, and all of a sudden, iron. I'm out there and I'm playing, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But you can't do the stuff that you can do with a blade. And I'm sitting there going, this is terrible. No. And I lasted about 3 months with them.
Really?
And they were brand new. I mean, I spent it was the first time I had spent money on clubs since.
Right.
Because I hadn't paid for clubs up until that point.
I know.
Like everything was free. Everything was like, whether
you can thank the Monday qualifiers for that and selling all their shit online.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I've got these clubs that I've just paid over a G for, and I'm just going, I got to go back to my old blades.
Yeah, I mean, I used MP14s, MP29s, MP33s, Ram FX. I used the Norman blades. I mean, and the best irons I ever played golf with, I still think are the Titleist 660s. Yep. They were a bore-through iron. Project X Satin 6.5s. Those are still the best, and I kind of get rid of them because they change the grooves.
My favorite is the same as Adam Scott.
Oh, TA3s by Cleveland. Those I didn't know. See, I'm older than you.
Yeah, you are. I've never played those, so I'll give you that.
Good.
But no, the 680 MBs are my favorite with the heavy, like the big muscle that looks like a muscle. Like that's what gave it the name muscleback.
Like a Norman blade.
680 MBs. Yeah. They just, when you pure those, they just feel like butter. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It really is.
I miss those irons. I miss the balls. I miss the smaller woods. Titanium.
We gotta bring back the
I use titanium shafts. Kids probably didn't even know they're titanium shafts. The Flex Twist. System 2 titanium flex titanium shaft driver and 3-wood.
See, nobody in Gen Z is going to know what the hell we're talking about right now.
Penley golf shafts. That was one of the best shafts ever. I worked for them. I used them. ETA. I never forget when I put a driver at Cog Hill in Phil's locker and he used it. ETA 65. The only problem was it cost $13 to make, and we made them in America, and Fujikura cost $2 to make, and that was right when the Speeder 357 came out.
So that was the shaft.
Which was a weak shaft.
I changed everything over to Fujikura from that point.
That was a weak shaft for me. I had to tip it like 2 inches because it was just the kick was too low. And then John Daly was all Penley, so that's my boy. So, yeah, we'll delve into that at some point too.
So I think we hit upon this whole Live Golf Invitational series.
Yep.
Now, the one thing that I will say about it is that I think the world can coexist with both. I think guys that are in between, they're the tweeners, right? So like the Adam Scotts. So Adam Scott, for instance, like he's still competing. And Adam Scott, we all know he's got one of the most beautiful golf swings in the entire world. But if you throw him on this Live Golf Invitational series, give him 6 events, like this guy is going to potentially win 2 out of 6 of these events.
Easily.
Like it's literally set up for a lifestyle. That's why I think like if I was to pick guys,
I just want
like
to be a caddy.
I
want to be a caddy.
I know. Listen, all right.
A caddy.
Here's a quick little public service announcement for the. I want to get the name right as I do the public service announcement. The Live Golf Invitational Series. Greg Norman, if you are out there listening,
please.
Mikey Perez here, as well as Matt Cook, who granted, I'm a nobody, but Mikey at least has some claim.
I'm a nobody
he played.
too,
He
don't
played in the BC Open. Like this guy played.
I
in
played
the BC
in
Open. I tried to Monday qualify and got injured in the Monday qualifier for the BC Open. But if you need two guys just to fill spaces in your Live Golf Invitational Series. You couldn't hold out, could you?
I tried.
You had to get the last piece. You're like, man, I've been fiending for this for the past 2 hours. I need this.
It's tobacco.
But here's the thing.
It's a glass. But you go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
The bit. No, I saw it. I'm like,
don't
that's
forget.
great.
I did qualify for the Buy.com tour for 4 times.
Of course you did.
Okay.
You won the fucking big break, Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, who wins the Disney event? You're at Disney. Like, it's phenomenal that you won the big break Disney.
And
like,
I'm so happy for the guy that I beat because he's one of the greatest human beings on tour and in the world.
Wait, who'd you beat?
Tony Finau.
No.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Why do I not know that?
He's the greatest human being.
Oh, my God.
Dude,
he's the most positive person I've ever seen on anything.
He outdrove
social
me by 40
media.
yards, 45 yards, 50 yards.
Yeah, but
maybe.
he didn't have the touch that a Perez does.
Yeah, he left a 4-foot putt about.
Talk
10
about
inches
another
short.
guy that if he could putt, my God, would this guy
but
be
Tony
unreal.
is unreal. He's a great human being.
He's a Scottsdale guy out here too.
Yeah, he lives at Silverleaf,
yeah.
one of the best places in the world.
Yeah.
And Boyd Summerhays has done a great job with him.
Another plug, we have no relationship to Silverleaf, but we would love to have a relationship.
Kind of do.
Yeah, through people, siblings, and so forth.
But
yeah,
anyway,
we have some, and actually,
but we will caddy.
Actually, one of my friends. His
Just kidding.
His father's one of the owners over at Silverleaf now. So yes,
well, Herman owns it.
We actually have a couple tie-ins. Yeah. But anyways, Silverleaf, if you want to talk with me and Mikey Perez about coming and visiting from time to time and playing out there, we're happy to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, because we're eventually gonna be doing some video. We're going to be doing some drone stuff. We're going to... Why don't you tell us...
And the Weiskopf tee and so forth. Like, we've got some plans that, Silverleaf's not aware of, but we would love to team up with them around a couple things that we're doing within that. But no, I wanted to actually, as I was talking about some of the different...
That's fine.
No, that's okay. Some of the different things that I was talking about with the public service announcement is Greg Norman. And Greg Norman, if you are listening... or if somebody happens to send you this, or
I'll send this to Elk. I'll send this to Elk, and Elk will send it over.
You 100% need to send this to Elkington. And by the way, if for whatever reason you need a filler, I'm not talking about somebody that's going to compete. Now, Mikey, on the other hand, he's got ambition. He's got that key thing that says, I am going to be on that Champions Tour by the time I hit 50, and I'm going to win every damn golf tournament that I step foot in. Like, he's got that type of ambition. At this point in my life and my career, I sit here and I go, I am washed up. I'm a has-been. I had talent. However, the one key thing that is important about this is that I am happy to be like the guy at Augusta National.
Yeah.
To where if you need that one extra player to go out and play. Let's say that you don't have enough guys. That's me. Yeah. We will have a great time.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing I will promise, that I won't slow up the round, that I will probably shoot 3 over par.
You'll probably shoot 3 under. Because you have no expectations.
There's a chance. Like, that's the crazy thing about me. That used to be the pitch to my college golf coach. Yeah. Like, listen, I've got a shot to go out there and shoot 6 under.
2 days ago, I was not expecting to hit the ball.
But like the next day, I'm going out and shooting 78. So just expect that, like, I can throw out. Done it. Like in college, like, we used to be able to throw out a number. So I'm like, I'm your guy. Like, I will go out. I will go after every pin.
No.
Like, I have no shame when it comes to going out there. So, Greg Norman, if you're listening and you need somebody extra for the Live Golf Invitational Series, if you need a serious contender,
go with
Mikey Perez.
Yeah.
Go with Mikey Perez. if you need somebody just to fill in to be that placeholder so that the guy who is competing that might not be playing well that week needs like a little pick-me-up.
Absolutely.
I'm your guy.
I'll do it for
that's our
quarter of the price.
Listen, if you throw me a mill, I'm in for the entire series.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not even sweating it. Like we'll give you full sponsorship of this show.
We'll get a residency in Dubai so we don't have to pay tax.
Dubai's a great spot.
I would love to go to Dubai one day.
I
would.
Just know that PGA and Jay, if you're listening from the PGA Tour side, if you ever need a filler for a tour event, I'm happy to fill in at no cost whatsoever because that's legacy.
Right.
So, Greg, I'm in it for the money.
Yeah.
Jay, I'm in it for the legacy.
Correct.
So either way, and I'm Mikey, I feel like you're the same way. You're happy to get a sponsor's exemption into a tour event, and at the same time, if Greg Norman's willing to throw you just a little something, maybe a sponsorship on the show, we're happy to show up. By the way,
next year this time, I can't wait.
Mikey and I, by the way, and I've heard this in a couple articles that this will be a team deal on the Live Golf Invitational Series.
Yes.
If it is team,
we kill it.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, we just as long as our cooler's full and we're I get a bug in the air.
I'm glad I muted the mic on that one because you caught me right in the middle of a cough and I started dying laughing.
Why don't you tell us about our website that is going to be launching soon?
So pullhookgolf.com, that's where you can go find more information about Pull Hook Golf. But in addition to that, also our episodes are going to be published there. You can also find us on all of the podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. I mean, Alexa, if you ask Alexa in regards to Pull Hook Golf, the podcast, she's going to pull up our latest episode. So it's going to be blasted everywhere. We're going to distribute the podcast out to every podcast platform imaginable. I think my Alexa actually in the background is going crazy wondering what the hell I'm telling her. So just be aware that if you do hear that, they're listening to everything.
Yeah, and feel free to leave comments, whatever you guys think, suggestions.
I don't want to hear it.
Whatever you want to do that. Our suggestion is don't leave any suggestions. But
if your comment's negative, just don't even bother because we're only going to get better if you leave negative comments.
We're going to have fun with this.
Yeah,
so have a lot of good
this is one of the things that you and I, as we've communicated over the time that since we've met, we've always had a blast just shooting the shit about golf, talking about these given topics. And that's what we're going to deliver.
Tell us your stories of golf.
Exactly.
What's your best? What do you think of your?
By the way, we're also on. So we've got
Instagram
at Pull Hook Golf at Instagram. That's going to be one of the biggest ones. We're also going to be setting up a LinkedIn page, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, we're going to be setting up a TikTok account. I mean, my God, are we heading into Gen Z when it comes to TikTok?
Oh my gosh.
But I have heard that TikTok is now everybody's on there. So
really,
I mean,
well, I haven't been on social media in 6-7 years now. Maybe
by the way, everybody, it was pulling teeth to get Mikey Perez to set up his Instagram account, which I don't think he's even.
I haven't done it yet. I haven't done. I'll do it.
He's doing it tonight. He's doing it after the recording.
Yeah,
no, he's doing it right now.
I will do it tonight.
All right, buddy.
What do I do? Do I go into that app store? Is that what I do?
Oh boy.
Yeah, something like that. I'm just kidding. I know.
We're signing off.
Yes.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in to Pull Hook Golf, the podcast. This was the first episode with Mikey Perez and I. Obviously, you can tell there's going to be some unfiltered talk that goes on. We're going to have a lot of guests around PGA Tour. We're going to have a lot of guests that are musicians, celebrities, professional athletes, former athletes, coaches. I mean, people within the golf industry, brands. So yes. If you like golf and want to hear the inside scoop when it comes to everything golf related that you might not hear on the Golf Channel or get a full on take without some media pressure, then we are certainly your niche when it comes to golf talk.
Let's just say we have an in. Well, it's not.
We've got a few. We've got a few. You should.
That's actually not him. It's gonna be. Well, it'll be accurate.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
Yeah. We've got our sources. And so
we don't care.
I've been in the golf industry for a long time. Yeah. So has Mikey as a player. Yeah. And so we've got the player scoop. We've got the struggles of what it is to go through the mini tours. We're going to be providing you with insights around that. Yeah. I mean, as we talked about, like Will Zalatoris and his putting and so forth.
I wish him the best of luck.
I mean, my God, I do too.
I really hope he can get this narrowed, you know. I would, if I were him and missing those putts, I just would get rid of that goddamn putter.
I would go straight to Stan Utley, and then if Stan Utley wasn't able to correct me on that, I would go over to Jay and go to Jay
something. I mean, or Stockton Jr. something.
There's another one. Go. Yeah, no. You're spot on, because it's too, like, I don't look at Will and go, he's so mechanical.
He's not. It's just,
like, he just has width in his golf swing. Some people will say because he doesn't have the wrist hinge that a lot of guys have, that it's not a field player,
high hands,
that he's mechanical, right? But no, I don't think in the least that he's a mechanical player
in that swing.
I think he's a field player, and he's, because of some challenges with technique, fundamentals, and then also with some of the mental pressure. And this is the other thing that coincides to where
he's still learning. He's still learning.
And that's where, even if it goes beyond the guys that I mentioned and that you mentioned, then you go to a sports psychologist and start to go down that path. Because
I would never. I would never, ever. Any psychologist, nothing. Ever. Never.
I can't even comment on that.
That's
a great way to end the show.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
That's the best way.
Never. Ever. I got my mom for that.
Hey, you've got...
If I'm going to get yelled at, or I gotta have my mom and dad tell me, or if I really want it, then I'll go up
You heard it here first, folks. Mikey Perez will never go to a sports psychologist.
No, psychologist, period. Any psychologist. Not just a sport. Yeah.
Anyways.
Never.
This is us. We are out. Hope you enjoyed the first episode of Pull Hook Golf, and a lot more to come. Right, Mikey?
Absolutely.
All right. Have a great rest of everybody's day, and thanks again for tuning in.
Thank you for listening, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Pull Hook Golf, the podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe and go to www.pullhookgolf.com for more information.